Welcome to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth. My name is Ome Kongo, I'm your host, and today we're taking it back to the music business with a wonderful vocalist by the name of Cecily. She's a 2012 graduate of Swarthmore College. She calls herself a acoustic pop soul vocalist. She's been inspired by the likes of Lauryn Hill, Adele, and she's just going to come out here and talk to us about the music business, what it takes to make it, as well as debut her music video for a television audience. Miss Cecily, welcome to Real Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First question I always love to ask when I have artists on the show is, who are you? So who is Cecily outside of your bio?
Okay, well, Cecily is a young woman trying to find herself, find her voice, and make her way into the music industry, which is never an easy thing to do. I'm a very deep thinker. I'm a reflector. I tend to be very intuitive, and I think that all serves me well being, in the music industry. I'm also a perfectionist.
All right, no doubt.
Which sometimes serves me well, sometimes doesn't. So, yeah, I think right now at 23 years old, I'm just, a young woman trying to figure out who she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is Real Talk, so let's be real about everything. I mean, you're a graduate of a pretty fine institution. You're from the D.C. area, so coming out of school, Pennsylvania, being in a great place like D.C., there could be a lot of other things that you could be doing. Probably having secured an income right now, a consistent income, but you're out here working to make it in the music business. Why?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think I realized about my sophomore year at Swarthmore College that I really wanted to pursue music. And, I decided that after going to a music festival and I just saw so many people on stage and so many people doing their thing, and I was like, I really want to be there. Like, that's where my heart is. And so I really did want to finish my degree. So I did that. I got my degree in political science and black studies. And, I really enjoyed learning all that, made my mind grow, changed my worldview. And, but, being creative and working in music, and that's really what gets me excited. So even living in D.C. where I know I could get a job, at an NGO or, some nonprofit or something, I really feel like I need to focus on my music now, because 10 years down the line, I'd really regret it if I didn't.
Wow, you regret it if you didn't. That's some big terminology to use.
Yeah.
I mean, and regret can be real. Now, in your process, because there are a lot of young people watching who may have dreams of their own and seek to pursue them, but I'm sure they, like you, encounter different types of obstacles. Whether high school or college, did you have to experience people saying, well, you're in a great school, or there's too many singers out there, you're never going to make it, why try? And how did you deal with that?
Well, actually along the way, I haven't come along a lot of naysayers. And those who have originally been doubtful, after they've heard me sing, they kind of like, oh, yeah, you need to be doing this. I think, luckily my parents have been really supportive.
Yes.
My family is very supportive of the arts in general and love music, visual art, dance, theater, all of it. So I think I came from a very nurturing environment to begin with, and I came from a household that really supported wherever your passions were. So I was very lucky in that. I am very lucky in that. And, I really haven't come across a lot of haters, There really haven't been a lot along the way. And I think if there have been, maybe I've just tuned them out.
Yeah. Is that advice you would give for people who are watching who may be dealing with more haters, maybe even have parents who are their haters, or their closest quote-unquote friends who are telling them they'll never make it? What advice would you give to them?
I think the advice I would give to them is definitely do your homework. Definitely get your education. And if you know when you're 17, 18 years old that music is what you want to do, then apply to a school where you can study it, get to know it, hone your craft so that others can't doubt you. Because I think a lot of the time people put down artists because they feel like they're just working from a place of solely passion. You know, they don't really have any real training. They're just kind of winging it type of thing. But the truth is that musicians and all artists like spend so much time honing their crafts, you know, getting to know it and really, you know, taking it to the next level. And I think that you need that for yourself so that when people doubt you, you know, you say, well, I know what I'm doing. I know all about this, and this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm trained at. And I think that that allows you to not take in it all the negativity.
Now, I think that's great advice, because would you agree that nowadays, particularly in this YouTube era that we live in, it seems like so many people are just caught up, let me just get some videos up there, maybe they'll go viral, and then I'll get discovered. But then they get quote-unquote discovered and realize they have no knowledge of the game and don't really have long-lasting careers. Are you seeing some of that when you see young artists also who want to share their work?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely happening. And I think that the problem is in our society now, because of, you know, YouTube stars, because of American Idol, X Factor, The Voice, all these different shows, people believe in instant fame. And it doesn't really happen that way. Because even, you know, back in the day, before an artist would get picked up or discovered, that even after they were discovered, quote unquote discovered, you know, that record label will spend a year, 2 years, maybe even 3 years honing that person, creating their image, creating their sound, creating their brand, you know, sometimes even before introducing them to the world. And I think that you have to realize that in this day and age when record labels really aren't trying to sign people unless you already are established, that you have to do all that for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, speaking of branding, you refer to yourself as an acoustic pop soul artist. I have that correct, right?
Yes.
Some people would, you know, they're so used to just labels like maybe R&B or alternative music. Where does that term come from?
Well, you know, I think a lot of people think I made it up, but I don't think I made it up. I think I just tried to describe what I do and base it off of, you know, the artists that I take inspiration from. I would consider Lauryn Hill, as much as she was hip-hop and R&B, I would consider her an acoustic pop soul artist. I would consider Adele an acoustic pop soul artist. Even Jill Scott, in a lot of ways, is an acoustic pop soul artist, as much as she is, you know, neo-soul or R&B. And I think that, you know, it has a strong history. Even Motown music, I think, was a type of pop soul. You know, it was soul music, it was R&B, but it had a lot of crossover appeal. And so I think I just see myself in that line of, you know, performers and entertainers. And I just, you know, I think I describe my music in that way more so for myself, to have something to come back to so that my music is stylistically similar. So that I can, you know, listen to everything and be like, now is this acoustic pop soul? You know, is this really representing what I want to represent? So,
Talk to us a little bit about your writing process. You know, the things that you're inspired to write about. Is it all love? Is it all social justice? Is it a mixture of everything? And then how you also go about creating your work. You know, we have guys like Michael Jackson who are consistently writing. You have guys like Jay-Z who rarely write at all. What works for you?
I'm definitely a writer, but it depends on the song. Because sometimes the lyrics will come to me, but the melody won't be very well formed yet. So, you know, and I'm definitely the type of person, I can't type on a BlackBerry on a computer. I need pencil and paper, or pen and paper usually, to actually write it out, because it's something about the writing of the actual words helps pull it out of me. But then sometimes, you know, something will come to me so quick that trying to take the time to write it down, I'll lose it. So, you know, I need a tape recorder near me at all times, so that I can do that. As in terms of content, I do tend to write a lot of songs about love. Definitely a lot about love, because I'm only 23, but I've been in love a few times already. And I think it's something that, you know, people can relate to, obviously. You know, I try to write about social justice issues, but I find that it just doesn't come as naturally to me, and I don't want anything I write to ever feel forced. So I find that when I write things about, you know, social justice or, you know, something to inspire people to make changes, it's kind of more abstract in the writing. And also I find that, I've been challenging myself more in the past, 6 months or so with my writing, to not always have to be so deep about it, or not always have to make some deep point, but just, write a song people are going to enjoy, that people are going to want to move to, that people are going to want to listen to, that people can relate to. And I have a song that we're getting the final master this week of it. It's called Heaven in Your Arms. It features DC rapper Tabby Bonet. And that was a song that it took me a good few months with the track to get the words right, because I kept having to remind myself, okay, keep it light. You know what I mean? Keep it light. And I think it's an amazing song. I think people are going to jam to it. And so that's been something that I always, try to work myself at as a writer, to not always make it so serious. Because I can be a very serious person.
It's good to be serious sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you say to young artists who feel like they have to force it? I remember watching the Jay-Z documentary Fade to Black, and there was a guy Jay-Z was talking to. He's like, I want to rap about other stuff, positive things, but people saying I have to do all of this other stuff. And Jay-Z says, that's a problem with artists today. They feel like they can't be themselves. And a lot of young guys are writing about experiences, whether it's in rap, rock and roll, R&B, pop acoustic soul, they're writing about experiences that are not their own, and their work seems forced. Well, what advice would you give to them? Is it important to just get out there and do that so you can sell a couple of records, then be yourself? Or do you have to be yourself from the beginning?
You definitely have to be yourself from the beginning, and
regardless
honestly,
of what happens.
I think that you have to be flexible. Let's be real, because as a musician, you don't always want to be a starving artist, right? But I think that if you're not yourself from the beginning, you don't even have a hope of making it, in my opinion, because people can tell phony. You know what I mean? People can tell fake real quick. And I think that if you can't tell your own stories from your own perspective or stories of those around you and be real about it, then people aren't even going to make that first connection. And if they do, it's going to be superficial. And I don't think you necessarily need to always talk about something, like I said, real deep or serious, but it has to be real. If you're the type of person who likes to go out and party and stuff, then write about that. Me personally, I'm not really that type of person. I like to dance, but I think we have a lot of music now that talks about very specific areas of life that, like partying, drinking, getting high, or sex, and like those two areas of life are usually pretty small within people's real lives. And so I think, people yearn for music that relates to their actual everyday experiences. And so I think that if you can tap into your everyday experiences and tell that so people can connect with it, you're going to be a lot more successful than if all your music is party music or all your R&B music is about sex. Because people want to hear what their lives are. They want to hear their stories told.
Absolutely. And speaking of stories, you're saying you're working on the new single now. When can we expect the full album?
Well, I'm working on an EP. It's not a full album, but it's going to be about 5 tracks.
Okay. And
I'm hoping to release it in July. And the working title for that right now is Endless Summer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll be hearing the video we're going to see after the break on the EP, and hopefully, and when we come back, I'm hoping that the world's going to love the debut of your music video too much.
Thank you. Me too.
We'll be right back with more Real Talk.
So, April.
Yeah?
Your charger's still using energy when it's plugged into the wall, right?
Yeah, but that's not my charger. I don't even have a cell phone.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we look at issues facing our youth. We're talking to the musician Cecily, who is going to debut her video. But before we watch the video, I want those who are familiar to the music scene to know that Patty Austin referred to her as a brilliant, beautiful, and talented young lady, and then added, "Look out." And after I saw the video, I do indeed feel like we have to look out. So, Cecily, could you please tell us about the video, Too Much, before we watch it?
Yes, this video is for my debut original single, Too Much. And, you know, it really just helps to illustrate the song. It's about, you know, a love relationship that kind of hasn't gone well. It's over now. And so me, the main character, is, you know, reflecting on that and trying to portray the emotions to her audience, to her friends, of what has happened, but she can't. And she keeps reflecting and thinking about it. But it's all too much for her to deal with. So.
All right. Let's watch the new video, Too Much.
Don't you wanna know how I got here? Don't you wanna know why I stayed here? Don't you wanna hear this story of love? Watch it grow and slow. Don't you wanna hear the drama? Don't you wanna hear the pain? Don't you wanna see the smiling faces? How could they leave your heart unstained? But
You've just seen the video Too Much by the artist we know as Cecily. And Cecily, that was an amazing video. I really feel like it captured all the things that you said in the description, which is something we would definitely want, that it captures what you expected. What has been the response to this video?
It's been pretty good. I mean, I think people really connect with the story. I think that me and the male actor, his name's Kemar Davis, I think we did a good job of, acting out the emotions.
You look like you knew each other for a while.
I know, and we just met that day, actually.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, but he was amazing. And so people have really enjoyed the video. I will say that when I released the video on YouTube, I wasn't as knowledgeable about how to promote it. And so, I didn't get necessarily the numbers that I wanted. And that's another thing that I would recommend to people is that really do your homework and make sure you have a strategic plan for how you're going to promote something. And the good thing is for an indie artist, the life of a single is as long as you want it to be, really. It's not like you're a major artist and everyone would have heard it within 3 months. So luckily, I can keep promoting this video on your show and just get more and more people to, enjoy it, give me their feedback, and hopefully fall in love with the song.
No, definitely. And it's also people can get it anywhere. I mean, it's iTunes and it's wherever music is purchased, which I think is also great.
Yes.
Now, you haven't even been in the game professionally full-time for a year, given that you debuted in the fall of 2012. But it seems that you've had some great successes. Could you talk to us about some of your successes and highlights, as well as some of your setbacks that could also educate our audience who are interested in the business?
I mean, for me, the highlights are always performances. So I've had some really, the opportunity to perform in front of some really great audiences and on some really great platforms. I performed at a conference on Black male achievement back in October, and there were some really key key people in the room. The mayor of New York was there, the mayor of Philadelphia was there, lots of different people and various leaders and organizations and companies throughout the country. So that was a really great place to be able to perform, and they really connected with me as well. It was a great energy in the room, which I appreciated. I just got to perform at a showcase just last week in New York, hosted by the radio station Hot 97. They do a monthly showcase. So they accepted me to be in that showcase, and I performed with my full band. Had a lot of people come out to support me. Had a great response from the room, lots of good energy. So that's been great. Also, I actually got to meet some of my inspirations a couple weeks ago at the Howard Theater Gala.
Do tell.
Yeah, I got to meet Shaka Khan.
Wow.
Who I adore. And I gave her a hug, and I took a picture with her, and I actually showed her, not to seem like a stalker, but I had a picture of her Hollywood Walk of Fame star on my phone from when I was in Hollywood. And I found her. I was like, oh, Shaka Khan, I got to take a picture of her star. So when I met her, I showed her that.
I'm sure she didn't feel uneasy.
No. She was cool about it. She was really sweet. So, yeah, that's been really cool, getting to meet people and, just connect with folks, and I love performing. I love being in front of people, in front of audiences, and connecting with them through the music. So that's really been the highlight for me. And you asked about some of the challenges, setbacks. I tend to block those out.
But now these are teachable moments.
Right. No, it's definitely teachable moments. I mean, one was what I was just talking about with the music video, really not promoting it as well as I should have from the get-go. But also, let's see, there's just been some songs that I've recorded that afterwards I said, that's not really me. That doesn't really sound like me. This isn't the voice I'm trying to have. I think that's been a setback, but that's also part of finding yourself, finding your sound, finding your voice. So everything's really just been about growth with me. I just try to take everything and learn from it and keep moving forward. I think ultimately what I've learned over the past few months is two things. You need to be flexible. You need to understand the source of your art, but then also be able to accept criticism,
Yes.
helpful criticism, and really grow and learn from that. And also, I've learned patience.
Yes.
You can't rush things
Yes.
as much as you want to. If you rush them, then you won't get the response that you want.
Absolutely.
So those are two things that I've really learned.
That's amazing, and we know that there's a big show coming up on May 23rd. People who may have seen the video may want to see you live. Tell us about that show and where it's going to be.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be invited to perform as part of the 9 Songwriter Series. It's a group of 9 people, and they do various shows throughout the D.C. region. And they've invited me to be a part of their hip hop and soul night. So it'll be me and 8 other amazing local artists in the hip hop, R&B, soul genres, and we'll be performing on the 23rd, like you said, at 8 p.m. at Club Heaven and Hell in Adams, Morgan. And it's $10. $10 to see almost 30 songs by 9 different artists. So I think that's pretty good.
And where can people go if they want to get more of your work?
Yeah, if they want to check out more of my work, they can go to my website, which is www.cecilymusic.com. And on there, on the bottom, are also links to my Facebook, my YouTube, if you want to watch the video again, my Twitter, also my blog. I blog at least once a week if you want to check that out as well. And also my email list. There's a link for that.
Everything is there.
Yeah, everything's there.
That's amazing. 10 years from now, what will we be saying about Cecily?
Oh, wow.
Excuse me.
10 years from now, I really would just like to be thought of as 2 things: an amazing vocalist, someone who is a singer, and also as a great songwriter, someone who wrote songs that kind of like help you get through certain times in your life, or were the soundtrack of certain times in your life.
Yes.
That would be amazing, to just be thought of and remembered as a piece of people's lives through my music. Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much for coming on to Real Talk, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
That's going to do it for another episode of Real Talk. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at realtalk@omekongo.com. And remember, our youth are 50% of our population, but 100% of our future. Let's make sure we're taking care of them. See you next time.